Our guest at this time is Joan Knies with Crisis Connection. Welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you here, and of course the subject that we need to talk about is not a subject necessarily always that we like to talk about,
Right.
because of the effects.
Exactly.
And so you're here to talk about abused women and children.
Right.
So
right.
Why don't we talk first maybe about children?
Okay. All right. Well, I work at the Crisis Connection, and we serve 5 counties, Du Bois County being one of them. And our office here in Jasper is on 3rd Avenue in the same building as TriCap. And our services are always free. I want to make sure people understand there's never a cost to that. But yeah, it's amazing how children are affected by domestic violence. And it's not always women and children. Certainly men are abused and boys are abused, girls and boys. But many, many times when it comes to physical abuse, the male is the perpetrator and the female is the victim. So we have a program called the Batterers Intervention Program, and it's to help men who batter their wife and kids or their partner. And many times what they'll say to me or to the facilitators of the class are, well, I've never hit my children. But sometimes they don't realize that the impact of their actions in the home will hurt their children, even if they're not physically hurting. In fact, in the state of Indiana now, it's a felony if a child is home, even if they're asleep, and the parents are in an abusive relationship. And it's amazing how the generational cycle of violence goes. I love my mom dearly, but she sometimes would tell me, do what I say as not as I do. Well, that doesn't work. You do what you see. We as human beings will repeat what we see. So I guess it's just important for people to know that abuse does happen. We had probably 700 domestic violence victims last year and about 300 sexual assault victims. So that's 1,000. 40% of them were from Du Bois County. So that's 400 couples, or 400 people, I should say, 400 people. And if you imagine they all have a couple of kids, you can just see how those kids are affected. So I wanted to make sure people know that the Crisis Connection has a library, Paul. It's free. We have videos, DVDs, books, all kinds of things. And our website, www.crisisconnectioninc.org, lists all the books and things that we have as well. And one of them is by Lundy Bancroft. It's called When Dad Hurts Mom, and why does he do that? And Lundy tries to help the reader understand why the violence sometimes occurs. And then there's another one. We had a seminar a couple of years ago by Jackson Katz, and it's called The Macho Paradox, Why Some Men Hurt Women and How All Men Can Help. Because we need our peers to help us, so we need men helping men overcome that problem. And then we have books for children. This one's called Mia's Secret. And we use that a lot when we do child safety in the schools because it's not necessarily stranger danger that kids, find themselves in abuse. Most of the time they're abused by someone in the home. So that's the one, Mia's Secret, that they can tell a trusted person. Because sometimes the person that they're telling is a family member who is the abuser, so they don't understand that. So we need to create an environment where they can tell scout leaders, 4-H leaders, the police, the Crisis Connection, teachers, other adults. And there's one called Not in Room 204. We use that an awful lot in the classroom. And we go to scout meetings, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, 4-H. We go to all the classrooms and try to make sure not to scare children, because that's the last thing we want to do, but we want them to be smart, not scared about the problem.
Kids today just seem to be quite a bit more alert.
Yeah, they are, Paul. I agree with that. There's a lot more media they're exposed to, and it's not such a taboo. Years ago, you didn't talk about abuse under any circumstances, and I think society has tried to create an environment so that kids are smart, not scared, and that they understand there's a network of adults that can help them, and it's not their fault. That's the other thing that's so important for any age of an abuse victim. Sometimes you get to feeling that somehow it's your fault, that you triggered him to do that, or you triggered mom to do that to you, that your actions caused somebody else's actions. And we really try to help people understand the only person you can control is yourself. And that's hard sometimes. So you're never to blame. It's not your fault. And other people have gone through the same thing. And we really hope, that's my mission, I guess, is by getting kids involved early that they understand the violence and can stop it before it even starts, prevention. Because Places like the Crisis Connection can be there to help after you've been abused, which is good, but we don't even want to exist. The best thing in the world would be to do is to shut down the Crisis Connection and, to prevent the problem totally. The other thing I think people don't understand sometimes is the rate of abuse during pregnancies. Paul, we work with the March of Dimes a lot. We've gotten a small grant from them to get some information. They have a nursing module. We work a lot with the medical community because abuse during pregnancy is very relevant. I don't know if sometimes the man feels like he's not getting enough attention or those type of things, but it's sad to say that there's a lot of miscarriages. There's a lot of rapes after childbirth, even, right immediately following childbirth, and that's a problem. We have brochures that are always free to the public. For example, this one is Abuse During Pregnancy. All of our brochures are free, and we'll be happy to give them to whoever wants them. A lot of faith communities take them, and they give them to their parish nurses. They put them in their vestibules, that type of thing for the public. Again, a lot of clubs, the different clubs are available, so we have that for them. And there's another one that we've gotten from the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence out of Indianapolis, and it's called Women Abuse is Child Abuse. It's amazing, the pictures. Sometimes we use artwork to help the kids. And it says, when a mother is abused, her children see it, hear it, and sense it. There's tension in the home. Her children feel confusion, stress, and fear. Many times they blame the mother, not dad, if dad's the abuser, because mom, if you would just listen to him. Mom, if you would just do what he says. Mom, mom, mom. And so they blame mom instead of even understand that dad is the one that needs help. Her children may feel guilty that they can't protect her. In fact, this is one of the scariest statistics to me that makes it a male issue largely. 63% of all teenage boys or teenage men who are in jail for homicide are there because they killed their mother's abuser, which is typically dad. That's not the stereotype I had of a teenage murderer. 63%, over half of the young men that we have in jail for murder are there because they killed dad. I understand that. I have a lot of caring males in my life, and if somebody abused me, they would want to fight back. I understand that. But it doesn't really help because, of that 63%, well, now their partner's dead and their son's in jail. And, we have to find a way to help boys solve the problem without fists, essentially. Her children, particularly sons, are more likely to grow up to repeat the same patterns. That happens a lot. Again, people repeat what they see. And her children may also be physically abused or may be neglected. We serve on the different substance abuse councils, the local coordinating councils, because many, many times abuse in the home will lead to substance abuse. Alcohol doesn't cause the violence. Alcohol doesn't make you violent. That's kind of hard to think that way, but alcohol doesn't cause it. It can contribute to the problem, but it certainly doesn't cause it. But abuse can cause alcoholism, and it can cause abuse of other kinds. We also see kids with eating disorders because of violence in the home. We see suicide risks. I think a couple of years ago in Indiana, 69 women were killed by their abusive husband. And many times what happens, he kills her, he kills the kids, and then he kills himself. And then there's all kinds of suicide issues that come with that. Cutting, we have a book called Cut. The author is McCormick, where people will cut themselves because somehow, I guess psychologically, the cutting feels bad, but it relieves the other pain that they're feeling internally. So we have a lot of issues with teenagers in particular cutting themselves or pulling their hair out or those type of things. A mistrust, not being able to deal with conflict. There was a study, it's called the ACE study, Adverse Childhood Experience, and of the people they surveyed, 28% of the men and 28% of the women and 16% of the men experienced sexual abuse. And then they went on in life to experience things like overeating, substance abuse, drug abuse, low self-esteem, lack of conflict resolution, that type of thing. The ACE study is available. I think it's just ace.org, and it's on our website as well. And then the pediatric and adolescent medicine also did a survey on the long-term impacts of abuse in the home. And it's fascinating, scary, heartbreaking. But again, we can do something about that. We can help children understand how to deal with conflict, how to have healthy relationships and that type of thing. I think on this show before we've talked about tools that are out there like choose respect and things like that. So, yeah.
Is there anything else?
Just if anybody's in a situation, we have a hotline. It's been in place for 23 years, 1-800-245-4580. You will always get a real person. Fortunately, because of the staff and volunteers, we're able to keep real people on that hotline 24 hours a day, so you can always call that. Again, our website, crisisconnectioninc.org. Sometimes people forget the Inc., so it's crisisconnectionincorporated.org. And we have support groups for women. Angie Leisman and Patty Clem facilitate some of those, and we have the Batterers Intervention Program for men, and again, our library is available just with a plethora of books, resources, pamphlets, those type of things. So there are resources. It's never your fault. You're not bad people. It's just we have to learn a different way.
And here's a great place to seek help.
Exactly. We sure try, yes.
And it's very confidential.
Very confidential. And again, it's free. It doesn't cost money, so yes.
How is it funded?
We get funding from grants, basically. We're not a federal agency. We're not affiliated with the government. So places like CARE, which is Communities Against Rape, United Way gives us some funding. Local donations, we are very grateful to the community. We have a wish list online that people donate even simple things like toiletries and things that we can give our families. So mostly just grants and from the good people giving their time, talent, and treasure.
Joan Knies from Crisis Connection, we want to thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.